Good morning, girls. So, in our previous session, we were discussing about Two Dear by Count Leo Tolstoy, and we'll continue with that in today's session. So, before that, I just wanted to tell you something, girls. See, sharp at 9:30, the session gets starts, but you students till the end of the session you will join. So in between, if you keep on just joining and again if you log out, there is a lot of disturbance for the teachers to admit you all, girls. So keep that in mind. Sharp at 9:30 the session will get started. So within 9:35 or 40, within the 10 minutes you have to join. Later if you join, I will not admit you all, girls. So this is the last and final warning I'm giving to you all. So later after 9:40, if you if you join, I will not admit you all. Yes, moving to this chapter. So we have seen about the author Count Leo Tolstoy, who was born on 1828 and he died on 1910. He was a Russian writer who primarily wrote novels and short stories. These already we have discussed about the author, and I have highlighted few points about the author. And here you can find that Tolstoy, he was a master of realistic fiction and is widely considered as one of the world's greatest novelists. And his best two novels were War and Peace and Anna Karenina. And here these points we have already discussed. Okay, so these points you need to keep in your mind. His works have been praised as pieces of life, not pieces of art. He was prominent social reformer. He reflects on the well-being of mankind. And also one important point, Tolstoy is equally known for his complicated and paradoxical, so it is very difficult to understand his works. Then we have discussed about the question, and we have already started with the first paragraph in previous session. So here you have seen about the Kingdom of Monaco, and in the Kingdom of Monaco we find only 7,000 of inhabitants. And later you can see there, you can find in that toy kingdom real kinglet, the palace, the courtiers and ministers and bishop and generals and an army. And later we have seen about the king or the prince of the Monaco. He collects taxes on various things like tobacco, wine, spirit, and poll tax. And he got a special revenue from a gaming house where the people used to play the roulette. So that we have discussed already. So this is that game we have seen. And later we have seen that though the neighboring countries have stopped the game roulette because it harmed the people, but still there was none to stop the king or the prince of the Monaco. He didn't stop it, the game, the gaming house or the roulette game. The reason is that he got a special revenue from that. So this we have seen, and I think we need to start it from here. So turn your page numbers to 8. Those who have the textbook can just go through your textbooks, and don't who don't have the textbook can find it on the screen. Hey, girls, can someone just read it? Let me unmute you all. Yes, something has happened in the Kingdom of Monaco. So once an unusual incident which has happened in Monaco. So what is that? It was a murderer. So as the story continues, we see that a murder was committed in Monaco. So then what did they do? Whenever some problem occurs, what did the king do? He didn't take the decisions for himself by himself. Okay, so what did he do? He just arranged a court of judges. He assembled them, and after much deliberation, so what did they do? They finally held the man guilty who has committed that murder and sentenced the man to death. So how did they have done that? By cutting off his head. Okay, so the death sentence here actually in India we hang up. Okay, when the death sentence is there, what do? They hang. But here in the Kingdom of Monaco, we find that the how is death sentence is being executed by cutting off the heads. So for this, even the king also agreed. So finally here we see the last sentence, okay, of this paragraph. If the fellow must be executed, execute him. So the meaning for execute goes carry out a sentence of death in a legally or condemned person. That is the meaning for execute, or put into effect a plan or order or course of action, something like that. So what it in this paragraph we find that the king gives permission, okay, to proceed according to the decisions made by the judges and the others. So judges here we can find that the coaches, the ministers who were in the that domain, okay, in the prince domain. So here we can find finally that some unusual incident, before it has not happened in the kingdom of Monaco, but some unusual incident which has happened in the kingdom of Monaco. What is that? It was a murder. So what did the king do? He finally assembled all the judges, and the king gave the permission to execute that death sentence. So how is that death sentence? They will just cut off the head. Okay, so moving to the next paragraph, and this paragraph is very important, girls. Can someone just read it? Yes, ma'am, thank you. That was a wonderful reading. So here we can find a important paragraph. So in this paragraph, we see that there was only one hitch in the matter. That was they had, okay, only one hitch. So here you can find the meaning for it. Yeah, execute, carry out a sentence of death or to put into effect. Hitch, difficult. The meaning for hitch, it is difficult. Executioner, an official who carries out a sentence death on a condemned person. Hitch, difficult. Executioner, an official who carries out a sentence death on a condemned person. Yes, Visalakshi has raised a hand. Just click the option. Yes, once again, ma. What's the problem? So we can find that there was only one problem in the matter. That was they didn't had neither a guillotine mission to cut. So this guillotine mission is being used to cut the heads. Okay, cut the head of that criminal. So it means that for cutting that head, nor an executioner. So executioner is who is an executioner? Expert to cut the heads here. Executioner, one who proceeds with, but here the executioner, the meaning is expert to cut the heads. So you have already seen that meaning. So the king, before that, you can find here the guillotine mission girls. Screen, you can find it, the guillotine mission. So this is the guillotine mission girls. So here you can find the mission is here, and an executioner. So one who is expert to cut the heads. Okay, so here you can find it. Here you can find the person, and here you can find the head of that person. So this is a guillotine mission. Yes, girls. So what did the king do? He decided to sought the help of the neighboring country. So why? What is the reason? They didn't have the guillotine mission and also an executioner in the kingdom of the Monaco. So what did the king decided? He wanted to take the help from the neighboring country. So what did he do? He first approached the France. France was ready. Okay, the France was ready to help the king of Monaco by charging how much, girl? 16 francs for the guillotine and to send an expert. So here you can find that 16 francs. So it is a currency of France, girls. Francs is nothing but it is a currency of France. So now in France it is being called as euro. France, girls. It is francs in France. So in France, francs now it is being called as euro. So 1 franc is equal to some 78.41 in Indian rupee. 78 rupees. Okay. So you calculate and tell me, girl, 78 into 16 francs. You just calculate 78 into 16,000 something like that. Okay. You just calculate and tell me what is the amount they have asked for. Just calculate and tell me. Yes, approximately it came to some 12 lakhs. So 16 francs. So in Indian rupee, it is 78.41. So it is approximately for 12 lakhs. So what did the king of Monaco? He feels that, what did he do? He feels that it was a very heavy sum of amount for him. So he thought of a cheaper way to proceed this death sentence. He didn't want to give 16 or 12 lakhs, approximately around 12 lakhs for the France government. So what did he do? He wanted to find a solution in a very cheaper way. So here, the author we can find that Count Leo Tolstoy, he has brought out the story Two Dear in a very parody way, okay, of that too, which is in the modern system of the governance. We can see that parody of one of the modern systems of this governance, because he keeps on changing his mind till the end of the story. We'll see that the king keeps changing mind. Why? Because he wanted to find some cheaper way. He didn't want to spend even to a murder, okay, to execute that murder, that punishment, because he need to spend some 12 lakhs. So here we see that the author has brought out this entire story in a very humorous way. So moving to the next paragraph, which we have already read here, we see that the king later he decided to inquire, okay, with the cost of the mission from Italy. First he has approached the France, and later he has moved to the Italy. So what did he do? After discussion with the council, what did he do? He approached for the Italy. So the council of Monaco, they consider the king of Italy as a brother of Monaco. So this point here you can find for one more question, you will get it, girls. But the king of Italy was a brother of monarch. So who's been considered as brother of monarch? It was the Italy. So what did he do? Italy accepted. Okay, Italy also accepted to supply that guillotine mission and an expert for a very lesser sum of 12,000 francs. So you just calculate and see, girls, 12,000. So they expect accepted for that. So here you can find it, 12,000 francs. So you calculate and tell me now. Yes, approximately 93,600. 93 approximately. The France was ready to provide or to supply the guillotine mission and an expert for approximately it is 93,600. And even this was too much burden for the king. He didn't want to spend even 93,600 for to execute this punishment. So what did he do? He wanted to find some another cheaper way to execute this. So later we see in next paragraph, another council was called, another. So whenever there was a problem, whenever something was happened in the kingdom of Monaco, the king didn't take the decisions by himself, but he just, okay, he asked with his council members, they discussed and considered so how it could be done with less expense. So they wanted to do this with a very less expense. So they decided the army or the soldier of that Monaco to execute the punishment. But the king, what did he do? He requested the soldier to cut the head of the criminal, but the soldiers they refused, because the reason is that they don't know how to do it. Yes, and they are not trained for it. Usually, that is the true thing, right? They are not trained to cut the head of the criminals. Okay, they are trained for something else. So the king of Monaco again he wanted to find a cheaper way to punish the criminal. Okay, so later we see here, what was to be done? Again, the ministers considered and reconsidered. They assembled a commission and a committee and a subcommittee, and at last they decided that the best thing would be alter the death sentence to one of imprisonment for life. This would enable the prince to show his mercy, and it would come cheaper. So here we see in this paragraph, every time the king encounters a problem with the prisoner, what does he do? He calls upon his council of state. Again, they set up the committees and subcommittees so that to resolve the issues with the prisoner. Here, the author, Count Leo Tolstoy, is suggesting that the king is unable to govern or rule and take decisions on his own, because he see whenever he's all the time he's relying on others to govern the principality of that Monaco. He's not taking any decisions. He a small problem or whether it is a very huge big problem, he's not taking the decisions on his own, but he's relying on the others to govern his own principality. So he was a king, he was a prince of that Monaco. So whatever he tells, that might be the final. But what does he do? He wanted to find a very cheaper way. So finally, in this paragraph, we see that the death sentence is being altered to life imprisonment. Why? Because this point is very important, girls. The death sentence altered to life imprisonment. The first reason why the king altered or he changed this death sentence to imprisonment of life is the reason is that Monaco, the kingdom of Monaco, it didn't had a guillotine mission or an expert to cut the head of the criminal. So that was the first point. And later we see that, and when they thought, okay, to take the help from the France and the Italy, they were ready to help, okay, but by charging 16,000 francs and 12,000 francs respectively. So what did the king do? For the king, it was a very expensive amount for him. So he tried in a different way by requesting the soldiers to execute the punishment, but they didn't accept for it. So finally, what did he do? They changed the death sentence for life imprisonment. So another part is that prince will get the opinion of mercy from the people of Monaco. Okay, so that is why he has altered the death sentence to the life, to the imprisonment for the life. We'll move to the next girls. Girls, do you have any doubts? Finally, the king decided, okay, to alter the death punishment into life imprisonment because it was a very cheaper than the earlier death sentence. He wanted to find a very cheaper way. So the matter was again arranged. But again, here we see that there was only one problem. There was no suitable prison for the criminal to be kept. In each and every time, whenever he has given that, when he has executed that death sentence, he had some problem. Again, he has changed that into the life imprisonment. Again, in this, we can find that there is some problem that there was no suitable prison for the criminal, so where he can be kept very safe. So what did he do? So they found a very temporary cell which was not very permanent. So now the cell was arranged for the prisoner, and later we see that even a guard was being arranged to watch the criminal and also to provide food for the criminal. So here the author Count Leo Tolstoy, he brought out the story in a very ridiculous way that the guard, what does he do? He used to go to the palace kitchen each day. He went to the palace kitchen to get the food, okay, to get the food for himself, and also to see the prisoner, okay, was having the food. The king was he was eating. So here we see that the prisoner was having the food which was being have. Sorry girls, some technical issues will occur. Sorry for that. Yes, we'll continue with that. See, here the author has brought out the picture of king, that the king was less concerned with his responsibilities and he was earning the profits from all evil sources. Okay. Also, he tries to save the expense from altering the death sentence to life imprisonment. See, here also he wanted to get the profit. So that is why he has altered the death sentence to the life imprisonment. So in this paragraph, you can find that they have arranged a temporary prison there, so where the criminal will be kept, and also they arranged a guard to take care of the murderer or the criminal. And later we see one important point is that he used to get the food from the palace kitchen. So that is very important for one mark question you will get it, girls. So I think we're running shortage of time, girls. We'll continue in tomorrow's session.